What's going on, guys? It's the Skylander dude back here with another video, and today we are adding another entry to the Creating Unreleased Skylanders series. This episode, I'm customizing Gearhead Windup, or Vicarious Visions Windup, or Vindup. I don't know which is the right way to say its name, but either way, you know what I'm talking about. Let's just get right into this custom. So after I ripped off Windup's arms after heating them up with a heat gun, I went and cut off the little wind-up bits on his arms and top of his head because those will be replaced with the V's, the Vicarious Visions logo, little iteration they did on Gearhead Windup. I think for the rest of this, I'm just going to call him Gearhead Windup, probably what most of you guys know him by. But here I am. I mixed a few colors of clay. It's not going to matter because I'm going to paint it over anyways, just so I'd have enough. And I am crafting the V on top of his head. When I looked through the model of Gearhead Windup, it looked like the V on top of his head was much more detailed. It had screws, it has other little bits raised from it, while the ones on his arms were just kind of like V's with the loops on each side. So I kept it that way, and it made it easier to design because those were very small. You can see me using a bit of clear acrylic just so I can move them and keep the pieces as flat as possible because I wanted these to look as geometric as if they were made from metal like the figure was designed. But here they are. You can get a better look at the one that goes on top of his head, see how it's much more detailed than the ones on his arms, which is kind of like plain V's. But now I will take these pieces and already glue them on to his hands, except for the one that goes on top of his head. I'll be keeping that separate. It'll be easier to paint and it will look better and cleaner on the final model. But now starts the painting process. I'm starting going in with a metallic red. After looking at the figure, it seems like most of it was metallic colors, and so that's why you have the pearlizing medium in the back there, which I will touch on when I get to the white. I'm starting with this metallic red, going over all little bits that will be red, which is most of Gearhead Windup. He is mostly metallic red. And if you remember from my Happy Birthday Ben Starcast custom, this metallic red goes on very thin. So as you can imagine, it took many coats to get it nice and evenly across the figure. This is just the first or second coat here, and it's already looking better on camera, but in person, it was not. This took maybe close to 10 or 15 coats, just like the Happy Birthday Ben Starcast. It was similar to on the Starcast. I was painting blue with metallic red, and this one, the wind-up is blue, and I'm painting that metallic red on top. So it's no surprise that it was similar in coats. But while I'm sitting painting the metallic red coats here, I will mention that, because I know it's going to be asked in the comments, no, I will not be adding a Gearhead Windup NFC tag into the base. I'm sure most of you guys know already, but I do not mess with NFC tags. And plus, I care more about the actual physical look of the figure. I'm not going to be placing this in game and playing as it anyways. Now we're moving on to the white, and you can see here that I'm mixing the white satin paint with the pearlizing medium. And if you didn't see the Heartbreaker Buckshot video, basically this pearlizing medium is going to make it just that. It's going to make it a little bit pearly. It's going to have a little bit of a glitter effect similar to the metallic red. And that's what I was going for, to keep it more of a shiny, more metal look to the figure, as that's how it appears in the game. So I'm going with the eyes, the jaw, which it may have been easier. I didn't realize this until I was painting. It may have been easier to take off that jaw so I can get behind it and paint the inside of the mouth easier, but either way I was able to do it. This also took quite a few coats. The pearlizing medium thins it out a little bit, but it's not as bad as the metallic red, so that was fine. As I'm going through these different coats, I'm trying to keep my lines as smooth as possible, like the connection between his wrist and his arms, to keep that nice and flush. But as I'm working on the face here, I will mention that I'm not making the goggles for Gearhead Windup. I know some iterations, I think it's Superchargers, he randomly got some goggles. I think personally they look kind of clunky and ugly, so I'm basing this figure off the Swap Force model, I think, where he doesn't have the goggles, but he has red eyes. I think some iterations also have gold eyes for the little screws in the middle, but that's the one I think that looks the best, and that's what I wanted to create for this custom. And now moving on to the silver accents, like the top of his head and his shoulders, which are the only parts that are this color silver. There are actually two different silvers used in the Gearhead Windup model, which is this silver here, and then there's a more or less mix of silver and white, which I will be mixing in just a second here, you'll see. But yeah, surprisingly, this silver was probably the easiest to coat onto this figure. It went on the smoothest, and it only took maybe 4, not even 5 coats. But now I'll be taking off the binder clips that I used to hold the arms as well as the tape, and I'll be mixing together some of that white and silver mixture. It's kind of like a light gray, but it still has that silver sort of metallic look. And although I personally think these two different silvers look kind of weird, I'm not sure why they didn't just keep one consistent silver throughout all his little arms and the claws on his hands. I wanted to make this as accurate to the figure in the game, so that's what I went with. Now, unfortunately, because I mixed a roughly 1-to-1 mixture of the white and silver, it does take away a bit of that metallic from the silver. So it is kind of difficult to see. It doesn't pick up as much on the recording, but in person it is a bit more metallic. Also, another side note here, the normal wind-up figure doesn't have as much detail as I'm putting into this version. Like, for example, I am going through and painting each individual screw, unlike the normal wind-up figure, but again, I just wanted it to be more game accurate. And now that most of these parts are completely painted, I took off the stand from the arm as well as the tape, and I went ahead and glued everything together, both the arms as well as the V on top of his head. That way, I'll just have it in one final piece here as I'm finishing up these final details, like the eyes, as well as mixing up this dark red for the screws on the front of the V, because if you didn't know, actually the V has silver screws in the back and dark red screws on the front. It is pretty odd, but again, game accuracy. And now let's show off the finished custom. Introducing the finished Gearhead Wind-Up Custom. I went pretty hard with all the little details on this guy, and I really like how it came out. Let me know down in the comments how you think this little guy came out, or let me know what I should work on next in this Creating Unreleased Skylanders series. But with that, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Peace.